What drives our needs? Is it to provide for our family? Like Mr. Bolton on the PBS documentary about Arkansas poverty in Little Rock. He says this about his current situation. He says, I try to push through it. If my kids are fed and I see a smile on their face. For me, I have never been in poverty, but I have volunteered at places that have dealt with people in poverty. So why does this matter? Why should you listen to this speech? It's because people are hungry in Arkansas. That being said, as today, looking at Arkansas, how could we embark on looking at it? And so I have 3 ways to do that. Is the history of it, the barriers of it, and also the rates of poverty. So I created this quick little fast thing. I said looking behind meaning the history of Arkansas, and moving forward, even though there might be barriers, there are barriers in Arkansas before and even now. I want to win the race and see the results. Results and rates. It's kind of both are words. It kind of helps. So behind, barriers, results. Those 3 words sums it up. So we go to how it started. And how it started is history. So this is the history of Arkansas, and it's History of Arkansas Poverty according to Encyclopedia of Arkansas. But wait, let's take a step back. Maybe I said poverty a few times, and you're like, what is that? So poverty clarifies it as the state of one who lacks a social or a unusual or socially acceptable amount of money, of material possessions. So that's what poverty is. So the history, 1800s to 1900s. So you have Louisiana Purchase. In this, Native Americans moved up. White farmers moved in, and also that created a lot of migration, slave labor. That created, continue down the road, mining and timber and railroads. But then there's a problem. There's still that problem of slavery, and the Ninth Governor marks it all the time. Wanted to stop that, but he had opposition. Let's see if there's opposition in the next, from 1900 to present day. So these are 2 pictures side by side of the Little Rock 9. In Little Rock, these 9 women and men try to go into high school in Central and desegregate to combine the school, combine races of what previous happened, and the still racial tensions and the racial property actually of that happened. So education reform. So this was big problem. So during the Great Depression in the 1920s, you had kids who didn't really know how to behave, how to not to behave, but how to have a better education for themselves. And the Great Depression slowed it down, but you go past World War II era, there's a lot more jobs, there's a lot more freedoms, there's a lot of prosperity, but there are still some barriers that hinders us today and from them. So what are those barriers? And the barriers could be found by the PBS documentary called Divide in Arkansas. So there's also always been education, even that's nature, health, that's diseases, and availability of jobs, that's hunters and gatherers. Let's see. So next will be healthcare now. So healthcare now, it's a lot more affordable, a lot more easier to get a hold of, and you got education. A lot of people can get their education. So there's reform that happened in history, and now it's even better. Availability of jobs, a lot more jobs. We turn to the next segment. We see that, but how does this impact? What's the numbers? What today? Why does it matter? I know it's perhaps and it's in the past and it's now, but what's the factors that happen today? So we have a question for y'all. How many people do you think live in poverty? So there would be, C would be 5, 2, 4, 11. That's a lot of people in poverty. And this was from welfare.org. So out of that 5, 2, 4, 11, of the children that are 0 to 6 age were 154,118. So that's so many different people. That's a lot. So, we say, what does all this matter? Why am I saying the history, barriers, and also the rates of poverty? It matters because we live in Arkansas. People are hungry in Arkansas. They need help. They need they're food insecure. So I shed a light on the history of poverty, the people in poverty that happen, the barriers. So the history, the behavior, the barriers, and the rates of poverty. So, again, let's go back to our thing real quick. So, looking behind and moving forward, even though there might be barriers ahead, I want to win the race and see the results. So, behind, barriers, roll. BBR. I don't know if that's a band. But, going back to Mr. Bolton in the Little Rock PBS documentary, he said, be a man and make it happen. He just said this about a situation. He has to do it for his family and do it for his kids.